The silent screams of Kira's room was cold, metal walls, no windows, and only one dim light above. In the center, a small alien girl sat on the floor. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair was long and dark. Her name was Kira. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just sat there silent. She was only 13, but her eyes looked much older. They were full of pain. Not just from the cuts and bruises on her arms, but something deeper. Something that couldn't be seen. A sharp buzzing sound echoed through the cell. The door slid open with a hiss. Two tall creatures walked in. They had green scales, sharp black eyes, and long, thin hands. They wore gray uniforms with red symbols. They were not here to help. One of them stepped forward. He looked down at Kira with cold eyes. "Ready for today's test?" he said, not expecting an answer. Kira didn't move. She didn't even blink. They grabbed her by the arms and pulled her to her feet. Her legs were weak, but she didn't resist. They strapped her to a metal chair in the center of the room. Machines surrounded her, wires, lights, and sharp tools. The testing began. A low hum filled the room as a blue light hit her chest. Her body shook, but she stayed silent. The machines tested her limits: pain, heat, cold, pressure. Every day it was the same: torture without questions, experiments without care. And every day, Kira stayed silent. In a dark room above the lab, behind a glass wall, a human officer watched the scene. He wore a black uniform with a silver badge. His name was Lieutenant David Reeve. He was one of the few humans allowed on this alien research station. He had seen many things during his service: war, death, even peace, but nothing like this. He watched the little girl on the screen, her small body shaking under the machines. No screams, no tears, only silence. David frowned. "What is she?" he asked the alien beside him. The alien scientist answered without emotion. "She is Subject 17, codename Kira. Very strong resistance, no reaction to high-level pain. Excellent for testing." David narrowed his eyes. "Testing for what? Weapon durability, human and alien mixed pain thresholds. We need her data for the war effort." "Is she dangerous?" "Not at all. Weak, in fact. Just useful." David looked again at the screen. Something inside him twisted. The girl didn't fight back. She didn't even speak. But her silence was louder than any scream. It spoke of fear, of something broken. Later that night, Kira lay alone in her cell. The tests were over, but her body still ached. She curled into a ball, holding her thin arms close to her chest. The room was silent, but her mind was not. Memories of her home, her parents, and the day she was taken flashed in her head. She wanted to cry, but she didn't. Not anymore. They didn't deserve her tears. Outside her cell, David stood quietly. He had come alone. He wasn't supposed to be there, but something about Kira wouldn't let him sleep. He watched her through the glass, his face serious. He saw the bruises. He saw how small and fragile she looked. He whispered, more to himself than anyone else, "She's just a child." He looked at the control panel. One button could open her cell. Another could alert security. His hand hovered over the panel, but he didn't move it. Not yet. Back in the lab, the alien scientists reviewed the day's data. One of them pointed at a chart. "She's lasting longer now. Her tolerance is growing." The other nodded. "Good. Tomorrow, increase the power. Let's see how much she can really take." But no one noticed the human officer listening in the shadows. No one saw the way his jaw clenched, or the way he slowly closed his hand into a fist. Kira didn't know it yet, but someone had finally seen her pain. Someone had finally heard her silent screams. And that someone was human. The human among monsters. The alien station floated in deep space, far from Earth, far from any human laws. It was called Vector 9, a place hidden from the public, known only to a few. Here, aliens and humans worked together. At least, that's what the Alliance said. But in the dark halls beneath the shining towers, truth was something else. Lieutenant David Reeve walked through the lower sector, his boots echoing on the metal floor. He had clearance to be here, but most humans avoided this part of the station. It smelled of chemicals. It felt cold. It whispered secrets. He passed a row of locked doors. Behind each one, experiments, pain, silence, and behind one door, a little girl named Kira. He hadn't stopped thinking about her since he saw the footage. Her face, her silence, not defiant, not brave, just numb, like she had already died inside. David was a soldier. He wasn't new to violence, but this felt wrong. He reached a control room guarded by two alien officers. They looked at him with emotionless eyes, tall, with sharp faces and pale armor. "Lieutenant Reeve, this sector is restricted to science staff," one said calmly. "General Track gave me permission." David replied, holding out a clearance chip. They scanned it. After a pause, they nodded and let him in. Inside the room, glowing screens showed medical charts, DNA scans, and video logs. David saw folders marked Subject 12, Subject 15, and finally Subject 17, Kira. He opened her file. Date of capture unknown, species unknown, hybrid. Age approx 13 years, based on growth data, abilities none observed. Resistance to pain extreme, behavior silent, no verbal response, no aggression. He scrolled down. Hundreds of test logs. Descriptions of electrical stimulation, neural scans, chemical exposure, and more. No anesthesia. No breaks, no questions. What the hell is this? David muttered under his breath. He clicked on a hidden log labeled restricted access. Level red, a warning blinked, unauthorized file. He hacked past it using old military backdoor codes. Years of war experience had taught him more than just how to shoot. The file opened. It was a video. On screen, two alien scientists were speaking. In low voices, one of them looked nervous. She's not just a hybrid, said the first. Her DNA, part human, part something else, something old. You mean, yes, from the ancient vaults. From before the Great War. David paused the video. Ancient vaults, he had heard rumors. Old experiments, forbidden science, alien human. Mixing, but they were just stories, right? He pressed play again. We were told to test her limits. The second scientist said. Not to understand her, but she doesn't scream, she doesn't cry, she just endures. It's like she's waiting. Waiting for what? The other asked. The screen went black. David leaned back, heart beating faster. What were they hiding? Who was she really, and why was she here, being tortured in secret? He heard footsteps behind him. He quickly closed the file and turned around. A tall alien officer entered the room. General Track, head of science operations, old, powerful, dangerous, Lieutenant Reeve. Track said with a calm smile. What brings you to our quiet corner of the station? I was reviewing the subject files, David said, keeping his voice flat. Routine curiosity, Track asked, eyes narrow. Concern, David replied. I was told these were criminals, but that girl, she's just a child. Track stepped closer. His smile fading. This station exists outside of emotion. Lieutenant, we do what must be done. Some lives are sacrificed for progress. Surely a human soldier understands that. David held his gaze. There's a difference between war and cruelty. Track's eyes turned cold. Be careful, Reeve. Questions are dangerous here. **** Later that night. David stood once more outside Kira's cell. She was awake, sitting with her back against the wall. She didn't look at him, but he knew she knew he was there. He tapped the glass gently. Can you hear me? He asked. No response. He pressed a button and activated the speaker. My name is David. I'm human, like you. I saw your file. I know what they're doing to you. Still, she said nothing. But her eyes turned slightly toward him. A small, quiet movement. But it meant everything. I don't think you're a weapon, he continued. I think you're something else. Something they fear. Silence. He placed a hand on the glass. I'm going to help you. I don't know how yet, but I promise, I'm not like them. Kira finally moved. Slowly, carefully, she stood up. Her legs shook, but she faced him now. Her eyes met his. And for the first time, he saw life. Not much, just a spark, but enough. Enough to make him stay. Enough to make him fight. ***. Meanwhile, in the control room, General Track watched the security feed. He saw David at the cell. He saw Kira stand, and he smiled, but not with joy, with calculation. Let him get close. Track said to the scientist beside him. Why? Because the human heart is easy to break. He turned away from the screen, and when it breaks, the girl will break too. ***. But Kira was no ordinary girl, and David was no ordinary man. A storm was coming, and Vector 9 would never be the same again. The truth beneath the stealth lights on Vector 9 never went off. The station stayed bright, cold, and alert, like a metal beast that never slept. But beneath the surface, far below the living quarters and command centers, lay the Black Zone. A place even most aliens avoided. Here, secrets lived. Here, truth was buried. Lieutenant David Reeve moved through the shadows, past locked doors and motionless security drones. He had stolen a level red access card from a careless officer. If they found out, it could mean death, but he didn't care anymore. Not after what he saw in Kira's eyes. She wasn't just a prisoner, she wasn't a tool, she was awake. And hiding something powerful, something ancient. He had to know. He reached the vault room. The door was made of old-world alloy, black steel, layered with alien code and human tech. It was from the early days of the Human-Alien Alliance. The days when peace was a lie and experiments were the currency of war. He scanned the card. The door unlocked with a hiss. Inside, dust floated in the air. The room was quiet, untouched for years. Broken monitors, old test chambers, blood-stained walls, and in the center a glowing pod. Not large. Just enough for a child. It was open. Empty. A small brass plate rested at the base. It read, Project Helios, Hybrid Life Form Initiative, Status, Unknown. David's eyes widened. Helios, that was supposed to be a myth, a secret program. To create a perfect being, a mix of human adaptability and alien resilience. No one knew if it had ever succeeded, but now he did. Kira was Helios, ***, he heard movement. Quickly. He ducked behind a broken console. Two alien scientists entered, unaware of his presence. Track wants her back on the chair tomorrow. Full neural burst this time, one said. She's reaching mental collapse, the other replied. We'll lose her, we were never meant to keep her alive, we just need enough data and the human, Reeve, he's growing soft, let him. When she breaks, so will he? The voices faded as they left. David sat there in the dark. His heart pounding, they didn't care about Kira, she was just a result to them, a number in a file. But she wasn't, she was proof that they had gone too far. Proof that someone needed to stop this. ***, back in her cell, Kira sat staring at the wall. Her body was sore, her mind was quiet but full of shadows. Then the door opened. She flinched. But it wasn't the guards. It was him. David entered carefully, closing the door behind him. He knelt beside her and held out a small datapad. This was your pod, he said softly. You were born in that lab, grown for a purpose. They wanted to make a super being. They wanted to build a weapon. Kira didn't move, but you didn't become a weapon, he continued. You became something they didn't expect. Slowly, Kira looked at him. Her voice was dry and cracked. Like old paper. Why, help me? David stared at her. It was the first time he had heard her speak. He smiled sadly. Because they hurt you. And no one stopped them. But I will. Kira blinked, her face unreadable. You'll get killed, maybe. David said, but if I don't try, then what kind of human am I? For a long moment. Silence returned. Then Kira spoke again, softer this time. They fear me. David nodded. They should. ***, above them, in the command center, General Track watched multiple screens. His hands folded behind his back. He's getting close to her, one officer said. Yes, Track replied. Faster than expected. Should we separate them? Track turned slowly. Double quotes. No, let him believe he's helping her. Let the girl open up. Because the more she feels, the more she can lose. A cruel smile touched his lips. And when she loses it all, she'll break in the exact way we need. ***, in a hidden part of the station, David and Kira moved through tunnels. Escape wasn't the plan, not yet. First, he needed evidence. Real proof of what they had done to her. Enough to bring the Alliance crashing down. They reached a server room, old but still active. This is where they keep backup files, David said. We'll find your real story here. Kira sat beside him. Her fingers twitched, the way they always did before something strange happened. The lights around her flickered. David noticed. You okay? She nodded. But her eyes were glowing faintly. She touched the console. Suddenly, the screen flooded with data, more than even David had expected. How did you? Kira didn't answer. The data moved like it obeyed her. She whispered, it listens to me. ***, what they found was horrifying. Video logs of scientists designing her, DNA maps. Trials on other children, all failures, all dead. Kira was the only one who survived. And then something worse. A voice log from a human general. If the hybrid survives, use her. If she resists, destroy her. Project Helios is not a child. It is a key, and the key must obey. David sat back in horror. They had never planned to protect her. She was built to unlock something, maybe a weapon. Maybe worse. Kira stared at the screen. They made me. They broke me. Now they want me to break others. Her hands tightened into fists. I won't let them. ***, they copied the files onto a drive. As they prepared to leave, sirens began to sound. They had been found. Lights flashed red. Doors locked down. David grabbed Kira's hand. Run. As they raced down the corridor, Kira looked back, not with fear, but with fire in her eyes. This time, she wasn't silent. This time, she was ready to fight. Escape protocol. Alpha * alarms screamed through the halls of Vector 9. Red lights flashed like warning. Blood in the steel veins of the station. Soldiers shouted. Doors locked. The hunt had begun. In the center of it all, two shadows moved fast through the emergency tunnels, a man and a girl, both running, both chased. Lieutenant David Reeve had only one goal now, get Kira out alive. Left, he shouted, pulling her behind him as the hallway split. Kira followed without a word, her bare feet slapping against the cold floor. She didn't ask questions, she didn't panic. But her breathing was heavy and her eyes, they were glowing. Again, they had only minutes before security drones caught up. And when they did, mercy would not be an option. ***, in the command center above. General Track watched the blinking red dots on the tracking screen. Sector 6 breach. Tunnels E through H are now compromised. An officer reported. Track remained calm. Release Hunter Units 4 and 7. Seal off tunnel exits. Do not kill the human, the officer blinked. Not kill, Track smiled. We need him alive. For now. ***, meanwhile. David and Kira reached an old maintenance shaft. This way, he said, opening the floor panel. It leads to the outer grid. He helped Kira down first, then climbed in behind her. The shaft was tight and dark. Steam hissed from broken pipes. Every sound echoed, they'll follow. Kira whispered, they will, David said, but they won't catch us, not today. They crawled forward in silence. Then Kira spoke again, voice quiet but clear, I'm not afraid for me. David looked at her. Then who? You, she said. His chest tightened. She had been through hell, tortured, used, betrayed, and yet she was afraid for him. Halfway through the shaft, a loud thud shook the walls. Something had entered behind them. Kira turned. What is that? Hunter unit, David said grimly. Combat drone, fast, armored, no soul. They crawled faster. Behind them, the mechanical clicking of claws echoed louder, closer, scraping metal, scanning. Target acquired, came the flat robotic voice. David turned, pulled out his pulse pistol, and fired down the shaft. The shot hit the drone's face. Sparks flew, but it kept coming. Kira gasped, we can't outrun it. We're not going to, David said. He stood up in the narrow shaft, placing himself between Kira and the machine. Go, keep crawling, get out the other side. No, go. She hesitated, then obeyed. The drone charged. David fired again, 2 shots, 3. It slowed but didn't stop. Just as it lunged at him, something changed. A low hum filled the shaft. A strange pressure in the air. And then light. Kira, farther ahead, had turned around. Her hands were glowing, not with heat, not with fire, but with something older, something alive. The lights in the shaft shattered. The drone froze midair, its systems glitching. Sparks exploded from its joints. David watched in shock as the machine twisted, then crumbled to pieces without being touched. Kira stared at her hands, breathing hard. I didn't mean to. You stopped it, David said, stunned. How? I don't know, she whispered. I felt scared and angry, and then it just happened. They kept moving, crawling until they reached a side panel. David kicked it open and they fell out into a dark storage bay. Kira collapsed, breathing hard. Her hands still pulsed faintly with light. David crouched beside her. You're not just strong, he said quietly. You're something new. They made me this way, Kira said. But they don't understand me. Maybe no one does yet, David replied. But they fear you, and fear means power. In the command center, alarms stopped. The red lights dimmed. Track stood still, watching a blank screen. The Hunter unit failed, an officer said, confused. System overload, unknown cause. Track closed his eyes, then smiled. It has begun. Later, David and Kira found an old weapons storage unit. Most of it was inactive, but enough work to prepare for the next step. David handed her a small energy blade. You know how to use this? Kira looked at the blade. I never held a weapon before. You don't need to fight with it, David said. Just hold it like you mean it. Sometimes that's enough, she nodded. But something in her eyes said otherwise. She didn't want to hold it. She wanted to end this. As they planned their next move, David patched into the station's network. He accessed a secret channel, one only Alliance officials could reach. He sent a message to command. Subject Helios confirmed. Child hybrid, tortured by Vector 9, requesting immediate extraction. Coordinates attached, urgent. LT Reeve. He had sent. Kira sat beside him, watching. Will they come? She asked. David didn't answer. He didn't know. Hours passed. The station calmed. Soldiers searched, but found nothing. Track stayed silent. He didn't send more drones. He didn't raise more alarms because he wanted Kira and David to move. He wanted to know where they would run. And how far they would go. Inside the storage bay, Kira finally spoke again. I remember something, she said. What? David asked. Before the tests, before the pain, I was floating like a dream, and I heard voices. What did they say? They said, she's the key to what we left behind. David frowned. What did they leave behind? Kira looked at him, eyes full of old energy and something waking up. Something they buried, she said. Something no one was supposed to find. David stood and checked the weapons again. We're not just escaping anymore, he said. We're exposing them, and if they try to stop us, Kira asked. David smiled slightly. Then we give them something to be afraid of. Kira slowly stood. The small girl who had once sat silent in a metal cell now looked like something more. Something rising. Outside, unseen, a camera blinked in the shadows. Track watched their every move. He turned to his second officer. Prepare the final phase, he said. You mean? Track nodded. Activate Protocol Omega. Let the girl feel what loss truly means. Only then will she become what we designed. But what Track didn't understand was this. Kira wasn't following their design anymore. And David wasn't just protecting her. Together, they were rewriting the plan. And soon the steel walls of Vector 9 would tremble. Hunted by shadows, the stars outside Vector 9 looked peaceful. Distant lights in an endless black sky. But inside the station, peace had died long ago. Now, something darker moved in the shadows, something hunting. In an abandoned corridor near the lower decks, Kira sat with her back against the wall. The dim emergency lights flickered overhead, her hands trembled. Not from fear, but from something she didn't understand. Power. A strange, pulsing energy lived beneath her skin now. It woke up during the escape, it burned when she was angry. It listened to her thoughts, and it scared her. Breathe slow, David said beside her. His voice calm, focus. He held her hand gently. It was warm, a steady anchor in the chaos. What's happening to me? She asked, eyes wide. I feel like something's growing inside, something that's not me. Maybe it is you, David replied. The real you. Kira looked down. Then what am I becoming? David didn't answer because he didn't. Note *** above them, in the heart of the command tower, General Track stood before a massive screen. A hologram showed Kira's vitals, heart rate, neural spikes, energy levels. Everything was rising. Phase 1 of awakening is complete, the lead scientist said. And the human? He's interfering, slowing her emotional decay. Track smiled coldly, then removed the human. Kill him? No, not yet. Make her watch, make her feel helpless, and then she will become what we designed. *** on the lower deck. Kira and David moved again, carefully avoiding patrols, drones, and motion sensors. They were hunted now. Every camera, every hallway, every door watched them. They had one destination, the outer launch bays. If they reached the hangars, they could steal a ship. But there was one problem. Track had locked the navigation grid. We'll need to bypass the flight core, David said, and that's in the old AI vault. Kira nodded. How far? 2 levels down. Through the dark zone. Kira tensed. The place where the failed projects are kept. Yeah, she said nothing, but David could feel her fear. Not for herself, for him. ***. They reached the dark zone entrance, unlike the rest of the station. It wasn't clean, it wasn't cold, it was alive. Cables hung from ceilings like vines. Lights buzzed and died, strange sounds echoed, whispers, metal scraping, distant growls. David pulled out a flashlight. Stay close. I don't think they like light, Kira said. What are they? David asked. Kira pointed to a warning sign written in alien script. Simple translation, failed. Subjects approach equals death. ***. As they moved deeper, they passed shattered glass tanks, bones, dried blood, scratch marks on walls. This was where they dumped broken experiments. The ones who didn't survive like Kira did. But some still lived. ***. A sound came from behind. Soft, wet footsteps. David turned. Nothing. Double quotes. Keep moving, he said. Don't look back. They reached the AI vault doors. A control panel blinked red. I need a minute, David said. Working quickly. Kira stood watch. Then something moved. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Tall, thin, skin burned and twisted. Eyes glowing yellow. Another hybrid, but this one had lost its mind long ago. It charged. Kira reacted without thinking, her hand lifted, glowing. And the creature stopped midair, caught in a wave of invisible force. It screamed, twisting in pain. Before exploding into ash. David stared at her. You didn't even touch it. Kira looked at her hand, horrified. I didn't mean to kill it. It was going to kill us. It was like me. No, David said. You're not like them. You're still you. ***. They got the eye vault open. Inside, glowing cores and data wires filled the room. Kira stepped forward. The lights reacted to her. Machines turned on. Systems recognized her presence like a forgotten queen returning home. What is this place? She asked. David read a label on the wall. Neural sync room, Helios control interface. He stared at her. You were meant to control the station. Kira stepped onto the platform. The eye responded instantly. Screens lit up. Data flowed. But then the message flashed. Do you accept control? Kira hesitated. What if it changes me? What if it frees you? David replied. She placed her hand on the panel. Energy surged. Memories hit her like thunder. Not her own, but those of hundreds of failed subjects. Pain, fear, death. She saw it all. She screamed. David ran to her. She collapsed, breathing hard. But now, she knew. Track didn't build this place to protect the galaxy, she said. He built it to find something buried in space. Something that only I can unlock. ***. A voice echoed from the speakers. You're correct, child. Track, you were never a weapon. You were a key, a living code, and now, it's time to open the door. ***. Back in the command tower. Track activated Omega trigger. In the hangars, a large ship began to rise, old, rusted, and chained in place. Inside it, something ancient, something sealed for centuries. David saw it on the screens. What is that? Kira whispered. A vault. They built me to open it. What's inside? I don't know. She said, but it's not meant for life. Asterisk asterisk. The power flickered. Security bots swarmed the I vault. Run, David shouted, firing at them. Kira held her ground, arms raised, eyes glowing fully now. A massive blast of force tore through the room, throwing bots into walls like paper. She turned to David. I can't run anymore. Then we fight, he said. They ran, side by side, toward the final gate. Asterisk asterisk. But as they reached the hangar, something went wrong. A sniper shot rang out. David gasped. Blood. He fell to the ground. Kira froze. Everything stopped. Asterisk asterisk. From the shadows, Track stepped forward, holding a long rifle. I warned you, he said. Human hearts are weak. Kira knelt beside David. No, she whispered. Please. His hand touched hers. You're not alone anymore, he said softly. Don't forget that. His eyes closed. No breath. No sound. Kira's heart shattered. And in its place, something else rose. Asterisk asterisk. Light exploded from her body. Track stumbled back, her eyes blazed white. A scream filled the air, not of pain, but of power. Everything shook, metal bent, systems failed, walls cracked. And Kira rose into the air like a storm reborn. Asterisk asterisk. The final phase had begun, but not the one Track expected, the one Kira chose. And now, there would be no mercy. The spark of Worth walls of Vector 9 trembled. Not from bombs, not from weapons. But from her. From Kira. She hovered in the air, her body wrapped in glowing white light. Her long hair flowed as if caught in wind that didn't exist around her. Metal bent, machine shattered, and every light flickered like a dying heartbeat. Lieutenant David Reeve lay on the cold floor below. UNMOVING. Shot. Gone. But not forgotten. Asterisk asterisk. General Track stared at the girl above him. This was what he had built. This was the weapon he had spent years torturing, training, breaking, and now he had no control. Subject 17, he said, voice cold. Stand down. Kira didn't answer, her eyes burned like stars. Track took a step back. You're not ready for this power. It will destroy you. Her voice echoed, calm, sharp, heavy with rage. Then let it, and she released the storm. Asterisk asterisk. A wave of energy exploded outward. Every drone, every bot, every screen within 500 meters, destroyed. In an instant. Walls shattered. Ceilings cracked. Track was thrown across the hangar, crashing into a steel pillar. Blood spilled from his mouth. He coughed, groaned, but smiled. Yes, he whispered, that's it. Let it consume you. Asterisk asterisk. Kira dropped to the floor beside David. His body was still. Her hands trembled as she touched his face. Don't leave me, she whispered. You're the only one who ever saw me. Memories flashed in her mind, of the cell, the silence, the pain, and thens of him, sitting beside her, promising her freedom. Promising that she wasn't alone. Tears fell, but then's his fingers twitched. A soft breath escaped his lips. He was alive. Barely. Kira gasped. Her hands glowed faintly again, not with anger, with warmth. She placed them on his chest. Energy flowed from her into him, not as a weapon, but as healing. His eyes opened slowly. You came back, he said weakly. I never left. She whispered. Asterisk asterisk. Above the station, the ancient ship, the vault, began to rise from its chains. Automated systems activated. Massive engines powered up for the first time in centuries. It wasn't a battleship. It wasn't a transport. It was a keyhole, a bridge to something hidden beyond normal space, and only Kira could open it. Asterisk asterisk. Track, bleeding but alive, crawled to a terminal and activated a broadcast. It went out across multiple systems, across both human and alien channels, to all Alliance leaders. Protocol Omega has activated. The vault is awakening. The hybrid has gone rogue. Prepare for consequences. The message was received on a dozen worlds. Panic followed. Asterisk asterisk. In the chaos, Kira helped David stand. They moved together toward the vault ship. We can't let them take it, David said. They won't, Kira replied. Because I'm the only one who can open it. Then don't. She looked at him. I have to. Asterisk asterisk. They entered the ship. It was vast, ancient, and full of strange technology, not fully alien, not fully human. Something older, something in between. Symbols glowed as Kira stepped forward. The ship recognized her. Deep in the command center, a chair shaped like a lotus waited. She walked toward it. David stopped her. If you connect to that, I might lose you again. Kira smiled, not sad, not afraid. Free. Double quotes. I was made to be a weapon, she said, but I'm going to choose what I become. She stepped into the chair. Light wrapped around her. And the vault opened. Asterisk asterisk. In the stars above, a crack formed. Not physical, dimensional. A gateway. On the other side, a massive structure floating in the void, not built by humans, not alien. Something older. The ship began transmitting data. Files flooded into Kira's mind. Images, sounds, memories, not hers, but ancient. She saw wars that happened before written time. She saw other hybrids, other failures. She saw a pattern, the same mistake made again and again. Create life, control it, fear it, destroy it, but now, she was the one holding the power. **** Track activated the last failsafe. The station prepared to self-destruct. If he couldn't own her, he would erase her. Countdown, 5 minutes. ***, David shouted through the vault's comms, Kira, they're going to blow the station. She heard him, through the pain, through the flood of ancient voices. She found his dot and she took control. ***, energy surged from the vault. It wrapped around the station, locking it in place. Track stared as his own destruction sequence was disabled by her will. Impossible. He looked up and she stood above him, through a projection, glowing and calm. You wanted to break me, she said, but you built me too well. She paused. And you forgot the one thing no code can control. Track gasped, voice trembling. What hope? And then, the connection ended. ***, in a final act, Kira redirected the vault's core energy. Instead of opening the gate fully, she sealed it, not out of fear, but out of choice. Some things weren't meant to return, some doors should remain. Closed ***, the vault returned to standby, its systems powered down. Kira slumped in the chair. Breathing hard, David ran to her. You okay? She smiled weakly. Not yet, but getting there. He held her close. You saved everyone. I saved myself, she said, for the first times I chose. ***, in the days that followed. The Alliance launched an investigation. Track was arrested. The Vector 9 project was exposed, and Kira? She became the symbol of change, not a weapon, not a subject, a person. ***, they offered her a home. She said no. Instead, she chose a small ship, one companion, and a mission of her own. To find others like her. To protect those still hidden. To remind the galaxy, no one is born a monster. And sometimes the smallest spark starts the loudest fire. ***, but deep in the void, beyond the sealed gate, something ancient stirred. And waited. Because every choice has a cost, and some sparks light a war. She was never alone. The stars were quiet again. No alarms. No explosions. No screams, just silence. After everything, the storm, the fire, the awakening, Kira stood in the doorway of her ship. Staring into space, it looked peaceful now, but peace, she had learned, was just the surface. Beneath it, something always moved. ***, 6 weeks had passed since the fall of VEKTOR-9. The station was destroyed, not by weapons, but by truth. The galaxy had seen what happened there. Files had leaked, experiments exposed, hundreds of secret labs shut down. Dozens of leaders arrested, and one girl changed everything. ***, Kira didn't become a hero. She didn't want to be, but she became a symbol. People across systems spoke her name. Some called her the Awakener, some feared her, some worshipped her, but few understood her. Except one. ***, inside the ship, David was healing slowly. The shot he took still ached in his side. But the bigger wound had nothing to do with bullets. It was what he had seen. What he had nearly lost. Kira, you okay? He asked, walking to her. She nodded. Just thinking about the vault? No, she said. About what's next? He smiled. Me too. ***. Just then, a signal blinked on their console. Encrypted. Old code. Deep space origin. David opened it. A voice, broken, faint, came through. To anyone who hears this, help us, they're coming. The vault. We tried to stop it. Static followed. Kira's face turned pale. That voice, she whispered. I know it. Who is it? Subject 8. David froze. I thought they all died. No, she said. Not all. She turned to the controls. We need to go. Now. ***, as their ship entered hyperspace, Kira sat in silence, staring at the stars ahead. If Subject 8 is alive, she said, then they found the other gate. What other gate? David asked. The one they tried to hide from me. ***, when they arrived, the planet below was half destroyed, cities in ruins, skies dark with smoke. The vault gate pulsed in orbit, massive, ancient, humming with unknown power. A crack in space, just like the first one, but this one was open. And something had already come through. ***, they landed near a collapsed outpost, broken walls, burnt towers, no life. But inside the wreckage, a voice whispered. Kira moved fast. Breaking through debris with her hands. She found a figure, barely alive. Part machine, part organic. Subject 8. A boy, maybe 15, silver veins. Eyes full of pain, he looked at her and smiled weakly. You came, I thought you were gone. I was almost. David helped stabilize him. What happened here? He asked. Subject 8 coughed. Track had a second vault, older, darker. He knew, it wasn't just power inside, it was a prison. Something they locked away before the first war, something we weren't meant to wake. What came through? Kira asked. The boy's voice trembled. Not a weapon. Then what? A voice. He looked at her, eyes wide. It's calling. To you, asterisk asterisk. Before they could ask more, the sky split. A sound like thunder and metal crashing filled the air. David looked up. A ship unlike any they'd seen descended, black as a dead star. Shaped like a claw, pulsing with red energy. From it descended them. Tall figures in dark armor, no faces, no sound, just purpose. They weren't aliens. They weren't machines, they were old. Kira stepped forward. They stopped, as if recognizing her. One stepped closer and spoke, not aloud, but inside her mind. Child of the gate, you were born to break the seal. You opened the first. Now you will open the last, she replied without speaking. I'm not your key. The figure's head tilted. You were never yours to begin. With asterisk asterisk they attacked. David fired. Kira screamed. A wave of force exploded from her, sending half the invaders flying, but more came. They were endless. David covered her, taking shot after shot. Kira fought with mind and hand, bending space, burning air. The ground itself twisted under her fury, but the voice grew louder. In her head. In her blood. You are not one, you are many. We are your past, we are your end. Asterisk asterisk. Subject Tate stood, shaking. He walked toward the gate, eyes glowing. We have to close it, he said. Before they pull through more. How? Kira asked. Only the first hybrid can do it, he said, but I can help. He placed his hand on hers. Energy passed between them. Go, he whispered. What about you? This is what I was made for. Asterisk asterisk. Kira flew upward toward the gate. The ship followed. The figures screamed, reaching, firing. David stood on the ground, watching. Come back, he whispered. Please, asterisk asterisk. Kira reached the gate. It was pulsing now, wider, darker. She could see inside, not stars. Eyes. Watching her. Waiting. A hand reached from the void. Her body shook. She felt herself breaking. But then she heard a voice, not the old one's. Not the enemy. His. You're not alone. She screamed and released everything. A light brighter than any sun poured from her. The gate cracked. Screamed. And then shut. Asterisk asterisk. The sky went silent. The ship vanished. The figures turned to dust. And Kira fell. Asterisk asterisk. David ran. He caught her just before she hit the ground. She was cold. Barely breathing but alive. He held her tightly. I've got you, he said. I saw them, she whispered. They're still out there, but the gate is closed for now. She smiled faintly. We bought time. Asterisk asterisk. They buried Subject Tate beside the ruins. Not a weapon. Not a monster. Just a boy, a brother. A friend. Asterisk asterisk. Months later, a new alliance began. Led by those who once feared her. Now, they followed her. Not as a ruler, not as a god, but as a warning and a hope. Asterisk asterisk. In the stars, their ship sailed quietly. David looked out the window. What now? He asked. Kira leaned beside him. We look for others, others like you, others like us. He smiled. You know, for someone who once said nothing at all, you talk a lot now. She laughed softly. I had no one to talk to. He took her hand. You do now. Asterisk asterisk. And so the story ends, not with war, not with fire. But with a spark. And the girl who was once silent in a metal cage, she became the voice of a new future. Because even in the darkest place, she was never alone.